Okay, so now we are going to look at a worksheet. So let's take a look at exercise A. Write 2 nouns to go with each verb. So for the first one, reduce, we could say reduce trash or reduce energy use. And of course there are many options. We could also use a gerund, which is a noun form. So we could say reduce driving. Okay, so go ahead and take some time to finish this exercise. So go ahead and pause the video and continue when you're finished. Okay, so for number 2, I'm not going to type all of these because there are so many options. So for number 2, we could say recycle glass or recycle bottles or cans. Okay, and then number 3, tune up. So we could say tune up a car. You could just write car here, but of course when you make a sentence we need to say tune up a car or tune up his car, because car is a singular countable noun. We can actually use the word the phrase tune up for instruments also. Now of course this lesson, this unit is about protecting the environment, so that's why you heard tune up a car earlier in one of the exercises. Usually tune up is used for machines or instruments. Okay, so you could say tune up a piano. If you want, you can put it here, but if you want to use only environmental words, then you could say tune up a car or tune up a motorcycle, so some kind of vehicle or machine. Okay, and then number 4, save. Save the earth, or save water, save gas, save electricity. Okay, and then number 5, fix. You could say fix a leak, or fix water leaks. So if you use a plural, of course, you don't need to say a. Otherwise, you should say fix a leak. Okay, or you could say fix a light bulb. You could also say replace a light bulb, replace a washing machine. Okay, so now let's go ahead and look at exercise B. Complete the first part of each sentence with the correct form of the verb, then match. Let me zoom in a little bit. There we go. Okay, so let's look at the example. If everyone carpooled to work, the roads would be less crowded. Okay, so again, take some time to finish this exercise, and you can pause the video and continue when you're finished. Okay, so let's look at number 2. Frank could, we could say save money on gas if he took the bus to work. Okay, so Frank could save money on gas, so we used this word, if he took the bus to work. So the answer is letter D. Okay, and then number 3. If people, you could say, recycled their paper, we could save trees. So the answer is F. Okay, if people recycled their paper, we could save trees. And then number 4, you would cut down on trash if you used recycled paper. Okay, so letter C. If you used recycled paper, you would cut down on trash. Okay, and then number 5, if I took shorter showers, I would save water. Letter A. And then finally, Sasha would use less electricity if she replaced her light bulbs. Letter B. Okay. So let's look at exercise C. Complete the sentences with the pairs of verbs. use the present unreal conditional with would. Okay, so you can see pairs of verbs: check, save, help buy, pick up, be, save, replace, use, reduce, and use, take. So let's look at the first one. If you used less plastic, you would reduce trash. So we used this one, this pair. Okay, so go ahead and complete this activity and pause the video and continue when you're finished. Okay, so let's look at number 2. If drivers checked, oops, there we go. If drivers checked their tires more often, they would save gas. Okay, and then number 3, you would help the environment if you bought less plastic. Okay, number 4, people would save electricity if they replaced their light bulbs. People would save electricity if they replaced their light bulbs. And then Jan would use less water if she took shorter showers. Jan would use less water if she took shorter showers. And then number 6, if everyone picked up their trash, the beach would be cleaner. Okay, now let's go ahead and look at exercise D. This is the last exercise from the worksheet. Complete the sentences with your own ideas. So number 1, I would save gas if I carpooled to school. Okay, now I want you to include your own activity, your own idea for number 1, and of course number 2 and number 3 as well. Should be pretty easy. So go ahead and take some time to do that. And of course, you can pause the video and continue when you're finished. Okay, so let's look at number 2. I would save electricity, and I'm not going to type these because there are lots of options. So I would save electricity if I replaced my light bulbs. Actually, that's exactly this sentence, almost exactly. And you could say, I would save electricity if I turned off the lights that are not being used. I would save electricity if I turned off the lights in my house that are not being used. Or I would save electricity if I turned off unnecessary lights. That's probably easier, yeah. So I would save electricity if I turned off unnecessary lights. And then number 3, I could save trees. And actually, in this case, you can see that it uses could. I'm not sure if this is intentional. I think they were supposed to use would, but this also works. It's totally fine. So I could, meaning it's a possibility or ability. I could save trees if I used recycled paper, or if I used less paper. Okay. So now I want to look at another worksheet, and these are question forms of the present unreal conditional. So if you look at the first one, what would happen if everyone drove smaller cars? So you can see that the if clause, of course, is the imaginary situation. If everyone drove smaller cars, what would happen? So this is the results clause. So if you want to ask a question, you could just say what would happen. So you could see that all of them say, what would happen? What would happen? And then the imaginary clause. Okay. So these are all questions about protecting the environment, of course. Your results clause should probably be related to the environment. But, of course, it's up to you. You can include whatever results clause that you want. So, for example, for the first one, what would happen if everyone drove smaller cars? You might say, if everyone drove smaller cars, we would save gas. But you could even say, if everyone drove smaller cars, accidents might be more dangerous. So it's not related to the environment, but it's a possible result. Again, if everyone drove smaller cars, accidents might be more dangerous because you're more likely to get injured if you are in a smaller car. But then again, if everyone drove smaller cars, then there would be no big cars. So maybe accidents wouldn't be too dangerous. But anyway, you know what I mean. So it's up to you what results clause you include. But as you practice, use both forms of the sentences with the if clause in the beginning and also at the end, the imaginary situation at the beginning or end. For example, what would happen if there were no more plastic bags? If there were no more plastic bags, we would reduce trash. Or you could say, we would reduce trash if there were no more plastic bags. You can see that there's a be verb here in the imaginary situation. If there were, in this case, it makes sense because this is plural, plastic bags. If there were no more plastic bags. And let's see. Actually, here's a perfect example of using a be verb in the imaginary situation. So, what would happen if gas were $20 a gallon? Okay, so this is what I was talking about earlier. When the imaginary situation includes a be verb, we always use were. Okay. So even though gas is a singular, countable, third person noun, we don't use was, we use were. Okay. Let's see if there's anything else here. Okay. There's one more here, but it makes sense here because people is third person plural. Same as here, plastic bags is plural, so were makes more sense here. But again, this is just a great example of what I mentioned earlier. It doesn't matter if the subject is singular or plural. We use were in the imaginary clause, in the imaginary situation. Okay, but anyway, go ahead and take some time to answer these questions. And of course, you can practice with someone in your family, or you can do this on your own. Okay, this is the end of our lesson. We're not going to go over the questions and answers because there are so many possibilities. So I will see you for our next lesson. Okay, bye-bye.